Welcome to Acorn to Oak with Pennie Quayle-Pierce and co-host Matthew Donachie. Within each acorn, there is the DNA that strives to be a mighty oak tree. All it needs to reach its potential for greatness is to be activated. You are the acorn. On this show, we will share with you the tools and guidance you need to grow into the person you are meant to be. And now your host, Pennie Quayle-Pierce and co-host Matthew Donachie.
Hello, good evening or good afternoon. It's Matthew Donachie here. Pennie is currently trying to connect to the program. I'm sure she'll be joining me soon. Hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving over in America and that you enjoyed some nice family time off. Tonight we wanted to open the space up to talk about an experience that I've had recently. And it's around manifesting things within your life and how when you're on that kind of journey and you're able to manifest things that you can't actually quite believe they're happening because they're so amazing. But when you look back at the process of what you've been working towards, you can see a clear path. So recently I've had an article released in a magazine called What Doctors Don't Tell You magazine. And it's about a little bit around my story, the technique that we use, which is Breath for Life breath work, and a little bit of sort of background around it and what I'm doing currently now, which is running a clinic, doing one-to-one Skype calls, sort of coaching, and how this all started for me was very much when I met Pennie and did my own personal work. I couldn't quite believe just how amazing it was, and my only frustration with breath work over the years has been that not enough people know about it. And it can help so many people with so many different things. And during my journey, you're on a journey with a large amount of people. And the thing that I found so interesting is no one had necessarily anything in common with what they were dealing with. As people and personalities, of course, everybody got on and had a same sense of humour and that sort of thing, but with what we were dealing with and some of the pathologies and emotional issues, whether it be from sort of like serious depression and anxiety to having dealt with sort of serious sexual abuse or marriage breakups or large deaths within the family, whatever it be, breathwork was just so effective with all of these different things. Excellent. Good evening, Pennie.
Hi, how are you?
Yeah, very good, very good. So I was just explaining a little bit about what the show's about and that the process, where the process started for me.
Yeah.
Backwards.
I think it's a really exciting time for you, and you know the whole show is basically what doctors don't tell you. Get my teeth back in. And very much about the process of how you manage to use the law of spiritual generosity to open up the space for this amazing opportunity. And, it's about pursuing a very heart held goal that you've been wanting to pursue. And I think most of the listeners will be really interested in that process. So I'm sorry I'm a bit late, but I've had a bit of a technical problem.
Not a problem. So to carry on, I was just explaining that my only frustration around breath work or breath for life breath work has been like, how do people not know about this? Like, why aren't people? Why is this not on the NHS? Why do the big corporations not know about it for sort of maintaining mental health within companies and that sort of thing? And I guess it was around the same time that I made the decision that actually this is such an effective tool that I want to train in this. I want a career change. This is what I'd like to do because what better thing to do? It changed my life so dramatically. That's what I wanted to be able to do for other people. So around that time, it was very much I had the passion around, and at the time I didn't realise this, but I just thought it was frustration, but it wasn't. It was actually a passion for wanting something to be better than I could see it being right there, right now. And that was to get the word out and to give as many people the experiences as we can, to help them change their lives as we have. And as I said, I've met so many people on the journey that have dealt with so many different things. It's just incredible. It's almost like a one-stop tool for everything. And so I think it was around that my intention was I would like to help as many people as possible, get the word out to as many people as possible about it, and just educate people a little bit more. Because at first when you're trying something new, you may be a little bit sceptical of something and this, that, the other, and I was too, but the first session blew my mind. So I would say almost from there I decided that I was in. But yeah, it was very much around my intention's always been around sort of helping as many people as possible, getting the word out. And I think when something comes from being so pure, and it's not about, I want to make loads of money from it, I think it works very, very well, and that's something I've only really learned recently when I've worked a process back and really reflected on the whole process myself. Didn't actually realise that I was being sort of really, really generous and had the spiritual generosity, but when I work through it, it actually shows me that that's very much what happened. And it's I had to tell my story, obviously, for the article because it's about me, but that's not why I did it. The idea for me was very much to get breath work out there and try and raise the bar a little bit on awareness and getting people to realise that there's a tool out there that can drastically change their life and change their experience.
I think that's... Sorry for interrupting you. I think that's really important. And I think the thing is, and I know you come from the same page as I do, when you have a pearl beyond price that you know is going to empower other people, it's trying to get it out in a way that inspires people to try it for themselves.
Yeah.
And, I think people who are listening will be just really interested in this concept of, because we did spiritual laws, but the one law is spiritual generosity for me opens up the space. And if you can be generous to other people by sharing a gift that you know is going to change their lives, it brings back things tenfold. So that's what I would like you to talk about a little bit on this show is the process of meeting this journalist, and what was the process? Was it just a case of telling her your story? Was it the no bullshit that she got attracted to? Or how can other people use the law of spiritual generosity in order to pursue some of their goals?
Right. Well, as I said, I've only really noticed that it was what it was. I very much learned about this law myself. And my advice to people would be as genuine as you can. Like, don't change yourself in any way. Don't try and be a certain thing or be a certain way. Just be yourself. Just put yourself out there as you are, warts and all, and don't act up to anybody or try and impress anybody. Just be yourself. Because for me, it was obviously starting my clinic and trying to get that going, and do a lot of network meetings and that sort of thing. And this particular one that I went to, I wasn't going to go. I had a real physical day that day, and I was umming and ahhing whether to go because I hadn't actually sort of booked in. I'd only seen it the day before, and I just got a knock on the head, and it was just like, no, you need to go to this. So I was just like, no. So I jumped in the car and off I went, and I did an introduction talk, and they said, and I think I ended up doing 7 minutes because after 2 minutes they were like, no, that's not enough. We want to hear more, because it was just sort of one of those things where you put on the spot, and it was like, right, well, tell us a bit about yourself. And I am a chatter. I did performing arts at college, and so I'd sort of stick me on the stage and I'll just go for it. So I did just told them my story. It was real, genuine, really real, no frills, no sort of over exaggeration. It was just pure, and that's what the journalist happened to be at that networking meeting. And she said that's what drew her in. She said, because you were so clear and passionate and happy when you were telling your story. She said that you had me in tears, yet you were smiling about it. And she said it just drew her in, because she said you could just tell it was genuine. So I would say that's the most important thing, and it makes sense with some of my path, because very much when I was younger, you get told one thing and you see another thing, and it contradicts each other, and you think, well, am I crazy? Am I seeing this? Is this me? Because they're telling me one thing, but I'm seeing something else. Well, mine went a lot deeper. So through my own self-discovery, it's kind of like I've learned where the boundaries are very strong on sort of being generous and just being completely honest and not worried about, you're always going to offend somebody, so don't worry about offending everybody. It's just be yourself. I mean, we'll stay within boundaries. We'll speak French every now and again, but it's trying not to swear all the time.
I think it's really important. Obviously I've known you for some years, but it's finding out who your authentic self is, and then speaking from the heart.
Yeah, very much
and,
so.
Having known you for that long, I have seen your journey and have been on your rah-rah team. Keep on going, Matthew. You're getting there, and let's go for it. And
Yep.
what's the next passion? What's the next thing? And I think
Absolutely.
You have been doggedly determined. I think the word, the statement is doggedly determined to pursue what makes you passionate.
Yep. Yeah, most
I
definitely.
I feel real lucky. One, having known you. Two, having worked with you. Also, stunningly amazed at the results that you're getting now in your life, which just shows that the proof is in the pudding.
Yeah.
And, to have nailed such a great publication as What Doctors Don't Tell You, which is really quite influential, obviously not with doctors, but
we can change
but with everybody else. Yeah, but with everybody else. And it's basically, really the power of breath work, and particularly Breath for Life, is just, the proof is in the pudding. And your article just shows you that the pudding is fantastic, and it's tasty, and it's glorious, and it takes you to places that you just wouldn't have believed were possible.
Yeah, absolutely. And anybody could do the same. It's having a little bit of commitment and just putting it out there and doing the personal evolution, as we would call it. So, no thanks to Pennie and the team. But, we're going to a break, so we're going to obviously be talking a little bit more about the article and the different stages that I went on doing it. So, we'll speak to you after the break.
Your conscious connection to a more mindful world. Om Times Radio, IOM FM. Om Times Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. Om Times, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle.
I'm Kathy Williams, host of Sexy Mom Abundant Life radio show on Thursdays at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific. On the show, we explore living abundantly in every area of your life. Ways to let go of limiting patterns and beliefs and to step into the flow of creativity and possibility, knowing you are supported by the universe.
We are talking about your life. Ever wonder, is this as good as it gets? No, it could be so much better. At Acorn to Oak, we know you are seeking more happiness, joy, unconditional love, financial freedom, passion, and purpose. Find your unique mojo and live an extraordinary life. Want to know more? Contact us at our website, acorntooak.org.uk.
1 in 3 adults has prediabetes. 1 in 3. That means it could be you, your football buddy, your football buddy, or you, your best man, your worst man, you, your dog walker, your cat jogger. While 1 in 3 adults has prediabetes, with early diagnosis, prediabetes can be reversed. Take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its Prediabetes Awareness Partners.
So we're back. we're talking about What Doctors Don't Tell You, an article that was put in the December issue, and it's about Matthew Donahue, who is our co-host, and his story about how he changed his life through using Breath for Life breathwork. And it's really interesting because, one of the things, obviously, I'm the founder of Breath for Life Breathwork, and it's really fantastic to get somebody who has worked with me for some years and then gone on and become a practitioner himself. He has a flourishing private practice, and he's gone on and has trained as a Breath for Life breathwork group facilitator, and has just ramped home, and we've got the last weekend this weekend where he will qualify to be able to run groups and workshops and do more seminars. So it's really a great celebration for him to have this article written about him in a mainstream magazine called What Doctors Don't Tell You, and it's well worth a read, and it takes amazing amounts of courage and vision and vulnerability to be able to do what Matthew has just done. So, obviously he's been one of my students for years, but that means nothing, because as far as I'm concerned, he's a trusted and amazing colleague. So, handing back over to Matthew.
Yeah, here on that one. so yeah, I mean, it really has been an interesting journey, and since having the network meeting, I went home and I'd had a couple of messages from various different people, but didn't hear from the journalist until sort of 3 weeks after. And she sort of said, "Oh, your story really, I've been thinking about it." And she said, "I'd really love to write an article on yourself and breathwork for a magazine." And I've had a habit in the past of getting overexcited about things, and if they don't necessarily work out, getting disappointed rather than seeing the learning straight away and just thinking, "Oh well, it wasn't meant to be, so the universe blocked it." So I've tried to just be very chilled out when things come up and not get carried away with being overexcited. And this whole experience has been the complete opposite of what I'm used to. So because I've applied this new way of looking at it and sort of really stepped back from things and gone, "Oh, that's really interesting. I'd love that to happen. However, we'll see." And then just giving it up to the universe. It helps with not getting too excited and then getting worried about things if they don't work out. So like I say, this process was totally different, and so when she initially asked me, I was like, "Yeah, that'll be sort of interesting, see how that works out." And we had a couple of chats on the phone and that sort of thing, and then she came back and said, "Oh well, I've written the initial article. Let me pass it over to you, and you can sort of read through, and then we'll put it in and see what they say." And so I have not a great knowledge around how long it takes articles to be published and what the processes are and all that sort of thing. So I'm thinking, well, we'll see. It could be 3-6 months. You never know. Well, a week later, the journalist got back to me and said, "Well, they've agreed to publish the article, so it'll be going in the December issue." And I was, even though this was kind of like a big thing, and I was the part of me that was sort of like jumping around thinking, "Oh my God, this is amazing." I was still keeping a lid on it, and obviously knowing what we know about personalities and ego and that sort of thing, it's just, there can be times of just reining that in and just making sure that you're still maintaining being genuine rather than letting ego getting carried away. with it. So for me, it was just, trying to sort of each stage, it's just sort of seemed to be getting better and better, and I'm thinking, wow, this is crazy. And then they said to me, right, well, what we need to do, we need to get a photographer out to see you, so we'll send somebody out. So I said, yeah, and they said he'll contact you with timings and that sort of thing. So we arranged to meet at my clinic at 11 o'clock, and it was only when he got there that he said, yes, we're going to need 3 or 4 hours. And I said, three or 4 hours? I mean, I was just assuming it was a couple of headshots. I mean, how can it take that long? And he said, well, it's a 4-page article, so we're going to need to fill 4 pages. And so again, I'm thinking, crikey, well, and I was talking to the photographer, and he does direct work for What Doctors Don't Tell You. And he said, do you not realise what this is, how big this is? And I said, well, no, I've got no idea, really. And that's been my experience all the way through this article, that I've underestimated how big it is. But it's been the most amazing experience, and it's exactly what I've been trying to manifest and what I've been saying for the last few years. And I'm just in the most amazing, incredible place at the moment, because everything that I've been working on is literally manifesting in front of me. And you think life can't get any better, and then you manifest something like this, and then it's just a continuous path of what seem like miracles. And very much I've had the chat with Pennie where I've sort of said I didn't realise how big a publication What Doctors Don't Tell You is.
It's huge.
I had no idea how big this would be. I'm just glad to be part of it and to get the word out, really.
I think it's incredible, and it's really great that this has happened. And as I said, your own spiritual generosity has led you to this opening up. And it is incredible when someone picks and just recognises who you are, gives you a voice, and enables you to go for a goal that you've held. And maybe we should share that goal with the listeners. But the goal for you right here, right now, is to get Breath for Life Breathwork global. And from my point of view, that makes my heart sing. Because, my journey with breathwork was very much getting a pure system that works and empowers people, and doing a lot of initial research and making sure that everything, all the I's were dotted and the T's were crossed, to make sure it's a robust process which will take a novice to an expert. And that has been my process. And I suppose being an educator, being a teacher myself, it's making sure that was very much part of the process. The handouts were sorted out, running a few foundation courses and making sure that everybody got something from that process. In fact, for me, it's about value plus. So that has been my part in the Breath for Life breathwork journey. And I wasn't really focused on trying to get it to be a global phenomenon. That wasn't my focus. It was about helping individuals and then going into companies and helping them. But it was, it's been small piecemeal in some ways. And for me to now have someone who I get on with incredibly well, who's my co-host on a radio show, who has this goal to take it global, I am just 100% behind you. And as you know, I did a podcast yesterday with selfgrowth.com, and David, who was hosts the podcast there, and is the founder of selfgrowth.com, basically just turned around and said that was one of the best interviews I've ever done. He said your enthusiasm is off the Richter scale, and I know that Matthew's enthusiasm and passion is off the Richter scale too. So, hey, I feel like turning around and saying, "Watch out, world! You know, Breath for Life, breathwork is coming."
Yeah, absolutely, and that very much has been how I've sort of felt over the years. That's been sort of part of my focus, without sort of realising. And I think when you're
I hope either you can still hear Matthew or you can hear me, because we seem to have lost the connection somehow. But I'll keep on talking. All right, okay. So I'll keep on talking over the top of Matthew, and it's hopefully he'll get back to us and realise that maybe his microphone is off. For me, it's very much a clear-cut pathway, to personal evolution, as Matthew was saying, and from novice to expert. And, this is Matthew's story. And I hope if you haven't gone to Acorn to Oak's Facebook page, then you'll find a link to the article there, or whether you're a subscriber to What Doctors Don't Tell You, then that's great too, because it's in the December issue. So it's a Christmas present for Matthew, basically. So, but the publication is bigger, obviously, What Doctors Don't Tell You. It's a great resource because it's actually discussing a lot of different things which obviously doctors don't tell you. And, some of them are really world-shattering and changing and giving you different options for treatments that may not suit you. Because the trouble is we have a tendency to give our empowerment and our power to doctors, and we expect them to be able to give us good advice. But some of the stuff they just don't understand, and some of the, they only have, 5 to 7 years to train, and, you cannot cover such a huge subject as health and and well-being and spiritual health in that amount of time. They do. I have great respect for doctors, but they are limited. Are you back, Matthew? No? Okay, I'll keep on going. So it's limited what they can actually give you and the advice that they can actually give you. So, radio shows like On Times Radio is so important to be able to disseminate information which can actually lead you to a better source of information or resource, so that you can start researching different ways of being yourself. Because, the most important thing to remember here...
Everything happens at the right time.
Exactly, Matthew.
Yeah. For me, all that, and it comes in naturally. So from the...
your connection is not great, Matthew, so you may well need to look at your speaker. You're phasing in and out, so that's why I'm still talking. So please interrupt me when you get back again. So as I said, you know, we are celebrating the fact that Matthew got his article published.
Can you...
Not great, Matthew. It's not great. The connection is not great. So anyway, continue.
Hear me?
On. I can now. Are you talking? I can hear you breathing, but not talking.
Hello? Cool.
So anyway, as I was talking, you know, very much part of this process is looking at opportunities that arise in your life where you can, without getting overexcited or egotistical about it, being ready to take an opportunity that presents itself. And as I was saying earlier on, I did a podcast yesterday, which was fantastic, with selfgrowth.com. It went well. We've had a lot of different hits. And, you know, selfgrowth.com is very much like On Times Radio, has a huge audience. And it's just getting the word out that you don't have to be in pain. You don't have to be in suffering. There are other things out there for you. And it sounds like we're just going for a break, which is probably good, so that we can try and get Matthew back in the meantime. So we'll speak to you after.
No, like electricity.
A conscious lifestyle for a mindful life. Om Times Radio. IOM FM. Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. Om Times Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single Om Times endeavor. Host your show with Om Times Radio Network.
Hello, I'm Sandy Sedgbeer, host of Om Times Magazine's flagship radio show, What is Going On? My passion is sifting through information, research, and innovations from new thought teachers, speakers, and researchers pushing back the boundaries of what we know about life, energy, metaphysics, and the universe. I love shifting perceptions about who we are, why we're here, and how quickly impossible becomes normal when we open our minds, expand our awareness, and accept that the only limits that exist are those we place upon ourselves. So if you're the kind of forward-thinking, eager investigator of what lies beyond the current reality that most perceive, why not make a date to come play with me in the field of possibilities at 4 p.m. Pacific Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time every Thursday, and together we can discover what's really going on.
We are talking about your life. Ever wonder, is this as good as it gets? No, it could be so much better. At Acorn to Oak, we know you are seeking more happiness, joy, unconditional love, financial freedom, passion, and purpose. Find your unique mojo and live an extraordinary life. Want to know more? Contact us at our website, acorntooak.org.uk.
Long ago, you wouldn't think of galloping on a horse while doing calligraphy, and you wouldn't have attempted to ride your bike while typing a letter. Yet you think you can safely operate a multi-ton vehicle while texting? Behind the wheel is no place to multitask. If you want to BRB, drive now and text later. Lives depend on it.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org, a message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, Noise, and the Ad Council.
So, hi, we're back again, and hopefully Matthew's with us and we can hear him.
Yep, I'm here.
It's just been one of those evenings. It's like Gremlins are us. And,
Yeah.
sometimes you just have to laugh and smile and go, that's Divine Mother, Divine Father having a laugh. And I think, very much for me is it's embracing the hilarity and and just going with it. So good to have you back, Matthew. So I'm handing over to you so you can have a little bit more of a chat, because I was holding the fort earlier on.
Yeah, so when it hit me, when I was told the article was going to be published, it really hit me on just how I've managed this, and it sort of, you have a little bit of fear up because you realise how big this could be for sort of the tool and sort of all the practitioners and that sort of thing, and it really does, it brings up some emotional stuff for you. And working, obviously being an expert in that, I was sort of working through some of it, and it blew my mind to realise just how you can completely change your life, as I've done. And like I say, anybody can. More I can do. Very much getting out and inspiring people to do the same work. Some people have sort of said, "Oh, well, did you not sort of worry about having a story about yourself being put out there?" And it's kind of me, I didn't really consider it to be that side of it, to be honest, because everybody has a story, and it's an honest story. So for me, there wasn't any worry there or anything like that. Certain details that you leave confidential, but it's very much about sort of, you have to be raw and genuine, because if you try and change your story, then it's not genuine.
Who you are. It's not who you truly are.
No. So, and that's one thing that very much I have had people say, is that it's the fact that you're so genuine and so passionate. And I think that for me, it's kind of like, we live in a crazy world, and people are very different about, passionate about different things, and whether it's sort of looking after people, or whether it's helping people move forwards, or whether it's sort of changing the world, trying to help with the environment, whatever it is, when you've got a real passion to help change a huge amount of people, that's where sort of all this has come from, really, because we do live in a crazy world where people would rather chuck pills down their throat and tell themselves for the rest of their life that that's just, they're never going to get out of it, rather than, as we would say in the UK, growing a pair and saying, you know what, I'm sick of being sick, I have to do something about this, and making the change. Because that's very much what a lot of my clients say. They've got to a point where life just isn't good enough. And a lot of these people as well, they're very, very wealthy people, and they come in with the answer that I've got everything, yet something's missing. It's kind of like, I've got all the material things, all the houses, all the cars, but none of that actually matters. And I'm missing something, and I don't know what it is. And it's because we haven't done any emotional intelligence work and worked out that if we did, that's where true happiness comes from. It comes within inside. Will Smith did have given up the responsibility of trying to make each other happy, because they came to the conclusion, bang on, that they couldn't make each other happy. And it's so true. You have to learn to love yourself and make yourself happy. That's one of the big keys in life. That's my wish for everybody. I wish that I could. That's one of the fundamental things that I've learned along my breathwork journey is self-love and where it comes from. So, but yeah, as I was saying, it's like Will Smith did this great talk on it, and he's someone I think he'd be great to sort of have a chat to, because he's done some real inspirational talks around sort of emotional intelligence and that sort of thing. Yeah, it's been an amazing journey, and next year is going to really hype things up. So we've got a lot of big courses going on, and it's my dream coming true, really.
Yeah, it's amazing, and as some people are aware, I also have the brand The Truth Is, and the truth is, and this is one of the things that we need to get our heads around, is that personal development and spiritual growth is outdated, and in some ways, quite frankly, passé now. Evolution is the name of the thing for the future generations. And you need to ask yourself, are you going to join the truth tellers? Are you going to make the effort to do the work to become a beacon for the world? And, if you're saying yes to this, then that's fantastic. One of the things, as you heard, a week ago or 2 weeks ago, we were on retreat. And one of the things that came out of the retreat was a lot of divine inspiration. It was high vibrational. And one of the things that came out for me was very much about being connected to the source. The source being the divine, the source being your higher self, whatever makes sense in your own frame of reference. And I suddenly looked at it and suddenly went, oh, it's about being sourceful, full of source. And, straight away I think of HP or tomato sauce, but, maybe being sourceful, full of the source. And if you are sourceful, it's about being a guide for the world, And if you can be a guide for the world and be the change that you want to see in the world, then you move from being an ordinary person into a superhero. And, one of the trainings that we have next year is called the Fast Track Foundation course, which is about, it's 12 days of training and 10 months of Skype sessions once a month to enable you to basically take what you're passionate about and bring it together with your inner genius. And your inner genius is part of the superconscious. It's not part of the conscious mind. It's not part of the subconscious mind. It's part of the superconscious mind. And, therefore superheroes need to apply here, apply for the Fast Track Foundation course, because, we'd love to hear from you. We want to hear from game changers. We want to hear from people who are inspired to become a beacon for the world. And we would love to get you on the Fast Track Foundation course so that you can train in our methodology, so that you can go from novice to expert. And this is what Matthew is so passionate about, is to get as many people as possible trained up in emotional intelligence and trained up in Breath for Life, so that we can go out and be of service to mankind. So, I know Matthew sometimes looks at me and goes, my God, this woman can talk. She's incredibly loquacious. And I am, because I have the passion of trying to get this global too. Well, not trying to get it global. We'll go global.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I've loved about the training across a few along the years is
You're breaking up on us again, Matthew. Okay.
You've always put further, and it's always.
Are you with us?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can now.
Ah, good. Yeah, it's one of the things I've loved over the years, because obviously with thinking on when I was younger, I naturally had this sort of being down on self, and it's the one thing that every time something comes in and I achieve something, it's making me realise that actually I can achieve more. And we don't realise that we are all limitless, and we all deserve the same amount of sort of success or achievement, however you'd like to see it. And it is within that superconscious that if you clear your subconscious out enough to be able to pass into the superconscious without any blocks, then you can download inspiration, like very much like Pennie would say, source. And that's where Einstein would have downloaded information from. That's where some of the great scientists over the years would have downloaded information from. It's just because we're not used to working with the superconscious mind. It doesn't necessarily, we don't know about it. But very much with the article and learning, when you've got a pure vision.
You're unstoppable. So we've lost you again, Matthew. So obviously we're having problems with technology today. So, it's very much about finding out what makes you passionate and what type of life experience that you would like to have. And like Matthew has done, go for gold. And, if you don't know how to do it, I would say to you that we do, and we're probably a good example of that. And there's many, many great teachers and spiritual teachers out there. Find one that resonates with you. Find something that floats your boat, makes you passionate, rings your bell, however you want to put it. And, for us, it is breathwork, and it is the breathwork courses that we run. But then, again, you've just got to look at where you're at, what time you can commit. But this is a time right here, right now, leading up to Christmas and going into the new year. It's 2020. I can't believe it. And, 2020, make sure you invest enough in yourself so you become the person that you would like to become. And if you have no idea how to do that, get on a call with me or with Matthew via Acorn to Oak. Send us bing us on our website and ask for help. That's what we're here for. We're not here to sell you things. We're not here to bully you. We're here as a resource, and we would love for you to be able to take that resource. And you can also get in touch with us at breathwork.courses/fast track, because I must admit, if you're anything like me, I like things that work at speed. I will laugh, Matthew's into Formula One like there's no tomorrow, each to their own. But I also like things that work really quickly and have real, consistent results in the real world that, are basically, it's, full of speed, but it's also life-changing and life-enhancing. And, breathwork is an action therapy. It's not a talk therapy. It's about, we can talk about things for years, about losing weight or changing something at home or whatever it is. And we just talk and no change happens. But when we take action, there is a reaction in the universe which causes a change. And that's what is life empowering and life enhancing. So, again, I was hoping that Matthew might be able to get back onto the show for the last couple of minutes just to wind up. But I cannot hear him. So I'm sure he would love to send his best wishes. And we'll talk to you next week about something completely different. So I hope you have a great week, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care now.